Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are here live with upcoming prospect Bryce Mills, 22 years old, out of Syracuse, New York. How you doing, Bryce?
I'm doing great. Appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. Now, you were born and raised out of Syracuse, New York?
Yeah, so I was actually born out of Syracuse. I was raised in Liverpool, which, 5 minutes down the road from Syracuse. But I consider Syracuse my hometown, Syracuse, Liverpool my hometown, and I'm blessed to be from the city.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, tell me, I know you've got a huge fan base. How did that all start? Was that from back in the amateur days?
So, yeah, from back in the amateur days, I actually had a amateur career in kickboxing, believe it or not. I kickboxed from the time I was 11 years old till 17 years old, and all of my amateur fights were, crazy, very fun, very entertaining. A lot of people came out, and Syracuse supported me. But Syracuse as a whole supports their community. You look at Syracuse basketball team, Syracuse football team now that it's on the come up. Syracuse supports Syracuse. Going to the Dome to watch a basketball game or going to the Dome to watch a football game, there's no environment like it in the world. Syracuse comes out and supports their athletes and their people, and I'm just blessed to have that support as a boxer.
Now, I noticed you paid tribute to that in your last fight with your entrance gear. You had the Syracuse basketball jersey on.
Yeah.
What was the thought process behind that gear?
Uh, so GMAC is actually a close friend of a guy I consider like my uncle. So Tony Gallo, and Mr. Gallo told me that he could get me a GMAC jersey, and I was all for it. If anyone knows GMAC's a Syracuse legend and a legend in college basketball as a whole. So it was pretty cool to walk out in his jersey.
Yeah, that is definitely a good way to pay homage, to Syracuse greats there. Now, being in that area, you're a hot ticket seller, from what I understand and what I've seen. You are one that brings out everybody. Now, this upcoming fight that you have in June, it's got a little bit of a higher magnitude behind it, being that it's Hall of Fame weekend. So now you're not only going to have, of course, your local support crowd that's always there behind you, but there's going to be some legends there, some Hall of Famers, some people being inducted. There's going to be a lot of eyes on you. Do you feel any extra added pressure for that weekend?
I definitely wouldn't say pressure. To be honest, I don't really feel much pressure. It just gets me excited to be able to have the opportunity to perform in front of all those great Hall of Famers and legends and, my friends, my family, my community. I love the spotlight, and I feel like I can thrive and up my game under the spotlight when it's time to go. It's just boxing at the end of the day. There's people out there sacrificing their lives and living much more dangerous jobs, doing much more dangerous things than what I'm doing. I'm just blessed to have the opportunity. Very excited to show out in front of the legends that are going to be in the building and my community.
Is there anybody specific that is going to be in attendance that you looked forward to and you're really excited to be performing in front of?
My mom and my dad. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of people. I haven't really looked at who's going to be there yet, but every single fight I seem to have the turning stone. Some people show up, and I'm like, wow, like they were there, they were in attendance. That's pretty cool. So I'm sure there's going to be some people.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. Great answer. Of course, you want to definitely show out for mom and dad for sure.
Yeah.
Now, you do have a good, strong advisor on your side, Amir Abdallah. What's it like having him kind of helping you, guide you through your career so far?
Yeah, I mean, Amir's been great. Amir's been with me since I was an amateur, believe it or not. In my kickboxing days, he actually used to promote all of my fights as a kickboxer when I fought on Lace Up Promotions. So my connection with Amir goes way back from the time I was, 12 years old until today. So it's just cool that he can still be a part of my team when I've known him from the time I was 12 years old.
And is that when you or how old were you when you transitioned from the kickboxing to the actual just strict boxing?
So I boxed as an amateur as well, but kickboxing was always my main thing. So I believe I had 15 amateur boxing fights and about 30 amateur kickboxing. So kickboxing was my main sport. I turned pro at 17 in kickboxing, had 2 professional fights, and then at the age of 19, I turned pro in boxing. And I feel like I accomplished everything I wanted to in kickboxing, and the upside, the future just wasn't as high as boxing. So I made a transition.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. Is that something you ever still get the itch for, being in the ring?
Who knows what the future's going to bring someday? If it's MMA, if it's kickboxing, if that is where the big fights are at, then I'm always willing to pull that out of my back pocket. But right now, I'm looking to make a career in boxing and focus strictly on this.
And do you still train actively for kickboxing or any other martial arts, or is it just strictly grinding boxing only?
So all my training is, it's boxing 24/7. I still train other people every once in a while and help out with some younger fighters that kickbox. So I'm looking. I show them some kicks and kick defenses and stuff like that. But all of my training is boxing, boxing, boxing.
Now, with that being said, too, you're still an upcoming prospect. Currently 16 fights on your record. What do you feel is the next step that you need to do to continue to improve as a prospect on the come up, other than fighting, better opposition as you come up, which is, the obvious cliche answer everybody says, but what other things do you feel you need to implicate to improve yourself?
I think I need to show everyone out there that I have the power and I have the precision to start finishing people, which is something that I know I have, and I just haven't been able to exhibit it just yet. But it's something that myself and my team have really been working on to develop my power, develop my timing, and to find those spots and those openings to where I can start finishing people. So that's what I'm really looking forward to showing everyone June 7th and showing everyone in the future that I'm not just going to show up and win by decision. I'm looking forward to eventually putting people on their back.
Is that something you've been really working on this camp specifically?
100%. 100% we've been focusing on it. I've been focusing on developing my power and, just finding those openings. But I think if it was less of a power issue and it was more of a timing and precision issue and, switching up my tempo, not throwing every punch like I want to take your head off which I've done in the past. And it's worked. It's got me these wins, but it hasn't got me the finishes just yet, because when someone's prepared to get hit with a bomb, they're going to take it, and it might hurt, but they're going to take it. But if you're not prepared and I'm switching up my tempo changes, throwing a couple light shots out there and then blasting them with that power shot, now that's where I'm going to see the finishes start to develop.
And it's really interesting that you say that, and it's kind of mature in your thought process as well, because a lot of people think that it is just focus on power, sit down on your punches, rotate harder at the hips, all the fundamental things, but they don't, they don't think of what you mentioned. It's more about timing and precision. Is there any specific sparring partners that you've been working with that have helped you kind of key in on those things?
Shout out Norberto Lopez, El Bravo, Wilfredo, who fights, I believe it's this Saturday coming up. Shout out to Finest. Shout out to all of Rochester, all of Syracuse, and everyone that's been helping me develop my game and is taking time out of their day to spar with me.
Definitely. Sounds like you guys got a big boxing community upstate there.
We definitely do. Yeah, definitely do.
Now, with that, this is going to be a huge fight for you, being that it is Hall of Fame weekend. There's going to be, as we mentioned, a lot of eyes. This is only a step forward. Where do you see yourself, the rest of this year and in 2025?
So the rest of this year, I'm just looking to put my name on the map and move myself up the rankings, get myself in a position where come 2025, early 2026, I'm now in position to where I'm a contender for a belt, and I can possibly get one of those opportunities 2025, 2026. So the cliche answer, I got to beat who I have to beat. I have to beat all those guys who are ahead of me in the rankings, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
Now you're in a stacked division, super stacked. Is that how many years do you have here? Do you plan on chasing that title in this division, or are you moving up after a certain amount of time?
I'm gonna stay in this division 1,000%, at least until I win the titles. But honestly, even if I was to win a title, I'd stay in this division right now, just because that's where all the big fights are at. Do I think that the present champions and these guys are eventually going to move up? Yes, I'm sure they will eventually. But yeah, 140 is where I'm at and where I'm going to stay, at least until I win a title for sure.
Yeah, and historically, I mean, the guys will eventually move out of 140, but historically, that division just stays red hot. Usually, it's always filled with talent. We were speaking with Blair Cobbs before, and he said he believes 140 is the perfect size and frame for the best fights and the best fighter build, which I agree. I'm
Yeah,
sure
I'd
you
say
agree
so.
as well. Now, as we mentioned, those other top guys right now. One of the last questions I want to throw out there for you is, people want to call out guys at the top all the time, but is there any prospects or anybody you see that's also on the way up that you kind of have your eyes on that you would like to fight?
There's a lot of guys out there that I'd love to fight. Everyone ahead of me in the rankings. A champion that I hope that he's still champion once I get into a position where I can get a title fight that I would love to fight and I'd love to make happen is Sabril Matias. I think everybody's ducking him right now, and they're ducking him for a reason, because he is the boogeyman of the division. He comes forward, he puts on these fun fights, and that's the style that I love. That's the style that I want my opponent to have, that I want to fight. I believe I'm faster than Sabril Matias, and I know I have a long way to go to put myself in that position where I can actually fight him. But I'm looking forward to making my mark and being in that position. And when that fight does happen, I'm looking forward to it and looking forward to putting a show for our fans and take a fight where I think a lot of these boxers are ducking him. They don't want that fight, but I do. I want to put on that dream fight, that war, that Gotti Ward trilogy. I want that.
And what is it about Matias that makes your mouth water, in a sense? What is it about him that you see that makes you want to fight him?
He's a boogeyman. No one else wants him. So I want to take the fight that, other people don't want in the future. And do I believe I'm faster than him? Do I believe I'm more athletic than him? Yes. But it's more of, it's the fight that nobody else wants. So I want to be the one to take it, and I want to prove myself, because throughout this journey, in my journey as a pro, I didn't have the amateur career. I didn't have the backing that these other pros had. So I had to come up the hard way as a professional. And I'm looking forward to continuing to do it the hard way and take these tough fights and beat these guys and put myself on the mat where other people may not have to.
Yeah, definitely very true. And that's, the road less traveled is usually a very well rewarding one in boxing, without a doubt.
Yes, sir.
I know we kind of have a short window. I'm sure we'll run it back again. You're definitely a great person to speak to. But before we wrap things up, what other questions or what other comments and do you have for the fans? And are you able to sell tickets through your own avenue? And where can people contact you at?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I'm not able to sell tickets on my own, but you can go on Turning Stone's website and buy the tickets there. But June 7th, Syracuse, we're in the building. I'm not a product of myself. I'm a product of my environment and the people around me. So 315, June 7th. Let's put on that show. I can't wait.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll be looking forward to it, and we'll be making sure we get all the coverage for you that weekend as well.
Thank you.
Best of luck. And again, shout out to your social media pages where people can find you and follow you.
B Mills on Instagram, Bryce Mills on Facebook, and Bryce Mills on TikTok.
Awesome. Hey, appreciate your time today, Bryce, and we'll be seeing you in June.
Appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you.